All right, here we go. Welcome back, guys. We are here with another episode of Sportswithseb, episode number 13. Football season returns. All right, man. There's a lot of things to talk about today. Like I said, there's going to be NFL extension talk. We have a couple of signings that happened in the NFL. Nothing too major, but just a couple things that I want to touch on because we are going to start getting into the fantasy football rankings that I've been posting all over Instagram and Twitter. We're going to go ahead and give, a little bit more in depth on why I have these guys ranked where I rank them. We're also going to talk about the preseason. We're going to recap the Hall of Fame game, just a couple things that I noticed when I was watching. We're also going to preview the Commanders and Dolphins game. Not necessarily preview, just kind of go over what I would like to see out of the Dolphins. Because if you guys have been keeping up with us, you guys know we were at the Miami Dolphins practice a couple days ago. And I wrote down a couple names that I liked, and I just want to kind of touch on them and see how we... how everybody else feels about them in this episode. So, without further ado, man, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and put Seb in the corner. All right, here we go. Do we need to zoom in a little bit here? What do you guys think? I think that should be good. On Twitter, I'll fix you guys there. Here we go. There we go. All right, man. So first things first, we got Stefon Diggs, man. He has officially signed with the Washington Commanders after his one season in New England. All right, so the Commanders add some wide receiver help. This is something that they've been looking for this offseason. Obviously, a notable name that was thrown out there way before all the controversy started was Brandon Ayuk. But as we all know, the Jaden Daniels, Brandon Ayuk connection relationship is probably far from being repaired at this very moment, and given everything else that Brandon Ayuk has been posting on his Instagram and socials and stuff like that, I don't see that happening for Washington anymore. So they end up pivoting and signing one of the better wide receiver free agents that was on the board. I mean, Stefon Diggs, he had a great year last year for New England. He helped Drake May have a stellar season last year. And just a couple of things to note for Stefon Diggs. So in his past season with Drake May, he had 102 targets, he had 85 catches, he had 1,013 yards, and he also caught 4 touchdowns. All right, they basically signed him close to nothing. I mean, they didn't make a big stink about how much money he was getting paid. Honestly, they didn't even make a really big stink as far as how long he's going to be there. I don't even remember off the top of my head. Now I'm going to have to look at Ian and see what he tweeted. I'm pretty sure it was just a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. But let's see. There you go. It's a deal worth more than $10 million for Mr. Stefon Diggs, right? But it still looks like it's going to be a 1-year deal, though. I don't see anything else saying that it'll be longer than that. So we'll go off that. So $10 million deal for 1 year, basically a rental year if you're Washington. Hoping that if you're Stefon Diggs, you can prove yourself, have a good, decent year with Washington, and then get paid next summer before teams start, revamping their wide receiver room and giving out extensions to everyone else, right? So you want to give these teams something to think about heading into the offseason if you are set to become a free agent, assuming you don't sign any extension, right? So Stefon Diggs had a great year last year with New England. Obviously, the Commanders lose Deebo Samuel, which you guys just saw briefly. He ended up going back to the San Francisco 49ers. That was going to be the other signing that I wanted to mention. So he does find his way back to the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, that's where his bread and butter was. That's where he was his most valued. That was where he was most utilized to the best of his abilities. We didn't really see too much when he was with Washington. He was banged up a couple of times too. But now with the wide receiver room over there in San Francisco looking a little bit, depleted, they did sign Mike Evans, but they also did or at least it looks like right now they did lose Ricky Pearsall for the entire year. So they are already dealing with injuries that are affecting them long term. So they went ahead and signed a familiar face with Deebo Samuel. Now, What does this mean for both of these guys, right? At least for Stephon Diggs, playing alongside Terry McLaurin, it should be able to open up a lot of space on the field for you. I mean, Stephon Diggs is one of the best route runners in the league, up there with Devontae Adams, who I think is the best route runner in the league. I would also probably throw in there Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase runs a beautiful route. But yeah, Stephon Diggs, he's one of the premier route runners in the league. I'm not saying he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, but he can definitely run a route. And being on a bounce back year for Jaden Daniels, coming into this season after last season's horrific ending for the Washington Commanders. You have a bounce back year with a quarterback who's looking to prove himself. You have another wide receiver who's a clear number one receiver with Scary Terry, and then alongside on the other side you add Stephon Diggs. I mean, that wide receiver room is gonna have so much fun this year. A lot of them are gonna be eating, man. They're gonna be eating all season, so I'm excited for that. What's up, AU Gold? I see you in the chat, bro. Justin Jefferson, the best route runner in the league. Honestly, bro, I was going to say Justin Jefferson. That was gonna be the first name I said instead of Jamar Chase. But I wasn't too sure if everybody else felt the same way about him. Because personally, I do think he's one of the top route runners in the league. But I have to give it to Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs for sure, no doubt. Because they can always get open, man. What's up, Xavier, bro? I see you in the chat, bro. And then Deebo Samuel finds his way back for San Francisco. At least from a fantasy perspective for both of these guys, I don't see Deebo Samuel being anywhere near, prime Deebo Samuel before he left to Washington. I don't see that usage just being there anymore. I think he's just kind of going to be like reliable. Worst case, they kind of dump a couple passes to him. I don't anticipate Deebo Samuel being a hot commodity is my point. I don't think you need to waste a draft pick on him this year. I'm pretty sure he'll end up in most free agencies, depending on how many teams obviously you guys have in your league. But I don't think Deebo Samuel is a guy you want to, plan for your fantasy football team this year. As far as Stephon Diggs, again, he's going to be playing with Jaden Daniels, who's going to have a great year this year. He's going to be playing as a number 2 wide receiver, so he's not going to see a lot of double teams or, a lot of shaded coverage on him. He's going to be pretty much one-on-one with his defenders for the most part, and I do like that for Stephon Diggs. I would draft Stephon Diggs at some point in your draft if you are needing to fill a wide receiver spot. He's definitely a wide receiver for a good flex option, no doubt. But obviously, everything's subject to change. We're still a little bit early before the official season starts. Guys can get hurt, this, that, and the other. So, but nonetheless, I will definitely draft Stephon Diggs over Deebo Samuel come this fantasy season. Red zone routes goes crazy for Devontae. Yeah, bro, he's insane, bro. Overall, is Jetta's. I'm not mad at that take though. I like Devontae Adams just because he has what's it called? The history, bro. Like, he has, no, that's not the word I'm looking for, bro. Damn it. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know the word. Seniority. He has seniority. That's why. That's why I say him over anybody else. I'm not drafting a single 49er. Yeah, honestly, bro, I'm not drafting another 49er either. I mean, they are just not a team that I'm comfortable with, especially with all the injuries that have been piling up so far. I mean, George Kittle is probably not even going to be there to start the year. Obviously, I mentioned Ricky Pearsall. Mike Evans had a little bit of an injury that was bothering him. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't affect him into the regular season, but, it's just that injury report is just disgusting over there. So I don't trust any San Francisco 49ers unless it's going to be Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you just have, if he's there at your pick, I mean, unless you're picking in the top, 4, I would say, like, it's got to be Christian McCaffrey. If he falls to you at 5 and below, you have to take him. Moving on to a couple of other things that I wanted to mention on today's episode. We're going to get into the extensions. Did I even add oh, here we go. Boom. Here's one of them. All right. We have Mr. Bijan Robinson. He was the highest paid running back come August 4th. He signed a 3-year extension worth $75 million with $51 million guaranteed. Let's see. Do I have the Jahmyr Gibbs one? I think he was one of the later ones, but I don't know if I saved it. Of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. Because why would I do that? Because why would I? Why would I be smart? Oh, or maybe I did. As you guys can tell, I like Spider-Man. Okay, I guess I didn't. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs also signed a contract extension. I have it written down here. It's 3-year extension, $67.5 million with $51.5 million guaranteed. But there is incentives that can bring that contract up from 67.5 to $75 million. So he could possibly be the most paid running back in the NFL if he hits his incentives, right? And then the last guy that I wanted to mention, you guys see it here, Zay Flowers. He reached a 4-year extension with the Baltimore Ravens, $140 million on that extension with 108 guaranteed. And you know what's crazy? Not too long after this, he did get hurt in training camp. So I hope he is okay and he's ready for the start of the season. But as you guys can see these top 6 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL right now. You got JSN, Jamar Chase, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb. I expect Puka Nacua to at some point be the highest paid wide receiver because, I mean, he's got to get paid at some point, bro. Someone's got to pay the man. But, yeah. And he also had I know he left training camp not that long ago, maybe like 1 or 2 days ago. I think he ended up with an injury or something like that. Let's see. You won't get Gibbs in the redraft? Yeah, bro. Gibbs is honestly, if Gibbs is not the first round pick in any of your drafts, then I don't know what's happening. He should easily go number 1. No doubt about it. Let's see. What else do I have to talk about here today? All right, the NFL preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, which is going to bring us to ESPN. All right, so if you guys were watching the Hall of Fame game, you guys saw maybe a couple familiar faces from not that long ago. Mr. Carson Beck, who played in the national championship versus Indiana. He played for UM in his senior year, former Georgia guy. But here we go, man. It was a great game. If you guys didn't watch, you guys missed out. Because let me tell you, it was great. Maybe I should go to this. Is this better? Hold on, let's move you guys a little bit here. There we go. There we go. That's good. And we're going to bring myself down in the corner here. Oh, you can't even see the logo of the Cardinals. All right, doesn't matter then. We'll keep it here anyways. All right, if you guys are watching on Twitter, that's your fault, bro. You need to hop on Twitch, bro. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it is what it is. Let's see what else we got here. I've had him all 3 years of my redraft. Been a successful partnership. Hey, man. He's been solid, bro. I can't hate, bro. I will say, though, I was a big hater on him in his rookie year. I was like, dude, do not draft this guy. He's not going to see the field. And he proved me dead wrong. So I'll give him that. But he has to be going number 1 in most people's drafts. My favorite streamers on, you're welcome, bro. I know. It's been too long. I know. No, but seriously. All right, let's get back to the preseason game, though. So the Hall of Fame game happened. We saw Carson Beck take on the Carolina Panthers. We saw, a couple of other guys that I wanted to mention. Haynes King, ACC quarterback. He played for Georgia Tech last year. But 2 guys that I wanted to mention, obviously, is the quarterback matchup. I think that was probably the main focus of that game that everybody wanted to talk about. More specifically, Carson Beck. I mean, I don't have his full stat sheet up for you guys, so let's go to the box score really quick, just so you guys can see it. You guys can see his stats there. 15 for 19. Oh, what the hell? Oh, okay. All right. Whatever. 15 for 19. 188 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 125 passer rating. I mean, the kid balled out. I mean, a couple of things that I noticed watching him, he looked really comfortable on the field. I mean, this is a guy that played a lot of college football, man. He played a lot of college football games. He played in a lot of big college football games. And honestly, when he was out there, he looked comfortable. He didn't look like he was getting fooled by the Carolina Panthers' different coverages, their disguise coverages and stuff like that. And he had a nice touch on the ball. There wasn't a single throw that he made that I was like, ooh, like that was an ugly throw. A lot of his passes were on point. They were accurate. They weren't too egregious. Did I say that right? Um, but Carson Beck, man, he played a great game. And his counterpart, Haynes King, on the opposite side for the Carolina Panthers. He didn't start the game. It was Kenny Pickett who started the game. He had a couple of drives. But then we saw Haynes King take over, and honestly, he was probably the quarterback of the game. I mean, he was 21 for 34, 180 yards, and 2 passing touchdowns. No interceptions, and he did have a 95 passer rating, but that wasn't the end of it. He also carried the ball 3 times for 39 yards and also had a rushing touchdown. So he was responsible for 3 touchdowns in that game, in that 33-30 win over the Arizona Cardinals. So both quarterbacks had a really good night. I mean, Carson Beck, moving back to Carson Beck, I mean, he had one drive where it was a 13-play drive, a 96-yard drive, right? Ended with a rushing touchdown by Corey Kinnear. Ended with a rushing touchdown, but he was 6 for 6 on that drive, 72 yards in the air alone on that drive. And, I mean, honestly, for me, he made a great first impression. If I'm the coaching staff looking at Carson Beck start this game, obviously you don't want to put, you don't want to be too crazy. You don't want to start throwing him the starting job now just because of one preseason game. We know how preseason is for a lot of these quarterbacks. They look good, but that doesn't mean that they should be starting week 1 of the NFL, right? But if Jacoby Brissett starts to slip up at some point throughout the season, let's see how Carson Beck finishes the preseason, but he is already knocking on the door, man. Let's just say that's what I want to get at, basically, is that Carson Beck is knocking on the door for that QB1 job. He's definitely turned some heads. If you're in Arizona, I would be excited as far as your quarterback play in the future. I don't know why the Cardinals decided to pay Jacoby Brissett. I agree with you, AU Gold. I am not entirely sure why they would do that, but I mean, hey, we don't work for the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe they know something we don't, but hey, I don't know. If I drafted Carson Beck, I mean, Jacoby Brissett didn't have a year like that good of a year last year where I'm like, yeah, I have to pay him and I'm guaranteeing you the starting job. No, I would go into camp. I would have gone into camp with both of these guys competing for the number 1 spot. We already know Jacoby's going to end up with the QB1 spot at the start of the year, but like I said, if he slips up at some point, we could see some Carson Beck action throughout the season. A 4th quarter Hall of Fame game, Haynes King, second half of 2017 Super Bowl Brady. Listen, bro, I will say, bro, he had a great game too. So let's move to the Haynes King portion of that game, right? So for the Panthers, obviously it was a great game. They come out with a win. But they ended the game with another 13-yard drive. A 13-play drive, a 65-yard drive that ended with a Haynes King touchdown rush as time expired, guys. There was literally seconds left on the clock. Last play of the game. He takes the snap, he drops back, and boom, rushes for a touchdown, walk-off touchdown, and ends the game with a W. I would have signed another cheap vet and let Brissett walk. They suck. Why not ride with Beck and see what is... I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. I mean, you have nothing to lose if you're the Arizona Cardinals. You already had a garbage year last year. You had a top pick this year with Jeremiah Love. Obviously, now your quarterback position is still something that's questionable moving forward. I don't know why you signed Jacoby Brissett. Is he on a long-term deal? Maybe it's not a long-term deal. Oh, it's a 1-year deal. Okay, I mean, I still wouldn't have paid him $15 million, but hey, I mean, if it's a 1-year deal, fine. I can live with it. You let him play on a prove-it deal, and you see if he can, have some type of resurgence and be something, a little bit more long-term instead of Carson Beck. But, I mean, Carson Beck had a great game. I can't say that he didn't. But, again, we don't want to look too hard into this first preseason game. This is the first game, guys. We know how this thing goes, right? But, yeah, man, the ACC quarterback matchup, Hall of Fame game matchup, it was phenomenal. It's a phenomenal game. It was a great watch. If you guys, like I said, if you guys missed it, you guys definitely missed a hell of a game. Let's see. What else do we have to talk about here? I mean, as far as King goes, I don't see him taking a starting job anytime soon in Carolina from Bryce Young. But if he continues to play very well in this preseason, he could be coming for that QB2 spot, and Kenny Pickett could be either waived or moved down the depth chart to the QB3 spot. I mean, Haynes King, like I said, he's a little on the short end. I won't lie to you. He's a little shorter than I would like my quarterback to be, but his mobility and his speed. I mean, the kid runs a 4.4. I mean, it's just undeniable talent, athleticism that you have to, acknowledge when you're looking at Haynes King. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the QB2 heading into the NFL season if he has a great preseason matchup, right? But again, pump the brakes. It's one game. A lot of NFL to be played still. Would you rather? Kenny Pickett should go to the CFL. I agree, bro. He's garbage. I don't even know why he's on there. But he does have the veteran experience now, so he is a good, I guess, locker room presence. I assume that's why he has a job. So, hey, to each their own, though. I agree with you, though. I really don't see why he has any type of job right now. Moving to the NFL. We're going to preview a little bit of the Dolphins and the Commanders, right? This is a game. Actually, let's just go to the depth chart that I posted. We have the official depth chart for the preseason game for the Washington Commanders and the Miami Dolphins. Actually, you guys are not going to be able to see this, so let me... Whoa. You guys should be able to see that. All right. So as you guys can see, this is the starting offense or the current depth chart heading into the Washington Commanders preseason game for the Miami Dolphins. This is our current projection right now. All right. We got the first stringers, obviously Malik Willis, Devon Achane, Malik Washington, Aaron Brewer, Patrick Paul, Austin Jackson. I mean, a lot of these guys, we expected to see at the one spot, would you rather, on the depth chart. But a couple of names that I want to mention here that I was actually surprised to see. I was surprised to see Caleb Douglas at the top of the wide receiver list. I mean, it looks like he's going to be wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure what the difference is between the 2 on the bottom and the 1 at the top. But hey, whatever. I don't make the depth charts. But it looks like he's going to be at least one of the top 3 wide receivers that will be starting for the Miami Dolphins. And that's great because when I went to the training camp not that long ago, he was one of the guys that I really, really liked. Every time the ball was thrown his way, he made a play on the ball. He made a great catch for the ball. Rarely saw the ball hit the floor at all. So I'm really excited for Caleb Douglas. And aside from Malik Washington, that is another target that Malik Willis has been targeting pretty often, at least that day that I was there on camp. Granted, I'm not there every single practice. I can't say that that's his second favorite target, right heading into the NFL season. But from what I saw, Caleb Douglas was a guy that was getting the ball quite often. So he will be getting one of the starting nods heading into this week. A lot of other guys here, obviously, that will probably work their way in at some point. Kevin Coleman, another rookie wide receiver that we drafted. I would like to see more of Terrace Marshall Jr. He's probably one of our taller receivers on the depth chart right now, so I would like to see him stay on the 52-man roster once the NFL season gets going, or at least on the practice squad. I really don't want to see him on another team because I do think Terrace Marshall Jr. will be pretty solid heading into the NFL season, considering where the Miami Dolphins are right now in their rebuild phase, quote-unquote, years. So, that's another guy that I want to get into. Caden Proctor, I had no doubt in my mind that he was going to be good heading into camp, heading into the NFL season. He is a rookie. We did draft him pretty high, which is, what you expect out of a first-round pick. You expect him to be a day one starter. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. When I saw him in the one-on-ones that day at training camp, I'm pretty sure he won every single rep. He had a really good training camp. I was really impressed with some of the work he was doing, and he honestly is probably the second biggest lineman that we have next to Patrick Paul. And it looks like they're going to line those two guys right next to each other. So I think that's going to be perfect for Malik Willis. One of the guys that I wanted to mention was Jonah. I mean, he's still going to be our starting right guard. I'm not too thrilled about it. He did get pushed around a little bit in training camp when I was there again, but that is just one day that I was able to spectate. I haven't been able to go to any of the other days, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt if you are a Miami Dolphins fan. But other than that, I love it, man. Greg Dulcich, he was in a red jersey when I went, so I don't think he was really practicing too hard. Maybe they're saving him obviously for the season start. He's probably dealing with some type of injury. But yeah, so that's just the offensive portion of what I wanted to touch base on. What I'm really excited about is the defensive side of the ball, right? So you guys see the defensive side of the ball here. You guys see Grant, you guys see Sealer, Chop, Josh, Jordan Brooks, Dodson, Chris Johnson. Oh, I skipped over more. Juju Brents, Marshall. What's his first name? Damn, bro. Did I write his name down? Because I did like him too. I didn't even write his name down, damn. And then you have Trader Jr. And you have a couple of the other guys that you guys see down the line. A couple of names that I want to mention on the defensive side of the ball. Number one is Zeke Biggers right here. He's coming behind Zach Sealer, it looks like, in this game. He will probably play with Jordan Phillips or Kenneth Grant, whichever, way they decide to go with the twos. But Zeke Biggers was a guy that I noticed was in the backfield quite often for the Miami Dolphins when they were doing the one-on-ones and when they were doing, the 11-on-11s, as you would call it. So I'm really excited to see Zeke Biggers get some playing time, not tonight, but when they face off versus Washington. That's going to be a name that I'm going to be watching. Obviously, Klein Farrell, a former first-round pick who we signed not too long ago, will also be making his debut for the Miami Dolphins. So I'm excited to have some better edge depth, because I think that was one of the bigger things heading into this year that we were really lacking. Obviously, we traded away Jalen Phillips. We lost a lot of the other guys that we had on the edge. Bradley Chubb. So there's a lot of holes that we had to fill. So there's a lot of potential for a lot of these guys to make a name for themselves and really have a good preseason. So I'm really excited to see what we can see out of Z Biggers and Klein Farrell. Another guy that I want to mention, obviously one of our top picks as well, second round pick at that, Chris Johnson. He definitely still has some work to do as far as his technique goes, but I will say he is pretty sticky. He's definitely a very good defender. He's very, very good in coverage. He did drop a couple of potential interceptions that I think he could have caught, but I'm not necessarily too worried. He has some really good tape on him on his college stuff, coming out of San Diego. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see him play. I'm thrilled that he's going to be our nickel cornerback. I think he'll thrive there really well. I like that we have Juju Brents starting at the first corner spot. And I like some of these other guys that I'm seeing. I want to see some more out of Michael Taffy this preseason game too. I didn't see too much of him in camp. Obviously, I did see him play a couple times, but nothing really stood out to me. So I'm really hoping that we get to see a lot of him in the game versus the Washington Commanders preseason week 1. Right? And then obviously the bigger name that everybody wants to talk about, Mr. Jacob Rodriguez. I mean, I don't think I need to say anything. I think everybody knows what I'm going to say about Jacob. He's a hard hitter, non-stop motor. He was everywhere on the field. And I'm excited to see him get some action. I'm not sure why they put the or there. They're probably trying to keep Washington on their toes a little bit there, but I imagine Jacob Rodriguez will see a lot of playing time come week 1 of the preseason, and I'm sure he'll get a lot of playing time throughout the NFL week 1 for the Miami Dolphins, right? But yeah, there's just a couple of things that I wanted to mention heading into that game. I think Cam Miller also, now that I'm looking at the offense again, he easily should be a QB3 spot. I mean, I think the other guy that we had, Gronkowski, I forgot his first name. He really didn't impress me too much. Cam Miller had a couple of nice throws, and he's a little bit mobile too. He got a little speed on him, man. Don't take this with no offense, but I am with you. This roster is nothing to be too thrilled about, but when you're, as a Miami Dolphin fan, you got to look on the upside of these things. you have to, for me, I know this is, not going to be a Super Bowl year for us, but I really just want to see a lot of the younger guys develop this season. That way we can really start putting some great pieces around in the next few years. But I really want to see a lot of these guys have a good preseason because I'm excited. There was a lot of good things that I saw in the training camp practice that I went to, so I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Moving on to the other portion of our podcast today, we will be getting into the fantasy football rankings, right? The first one that we have up right here is going to be our quarterbacks. I won't lie to you. Oh, it doesn't even let me zoom in anymore. That's unfortunate. Maybe I can do this. Hold on. Oh, no. That's as good as it's gonna get, guys. If you can't read it, I'm sorry. But yeah, man. So here's where we go. I don't get why Wright's over Gordon though. Because honestly, bro, Ollie Gordon has a little bit of a fumble problem, man. I'm not gonna lie, bro. He really does. I like Jalen Wright though. I think he has, and you know what about Jalen Wright too? One, he's faster than him, and he also has better hands than him. And knowing the offense that we're going to be trying to run this season, I do think we'll see a lot of the running backs regardless. We're going to see a lot of A-Chain, obviously, and we're going to see a lot of Ollie Gordon at the goal line. We saw a little bit of it last year with Mike McDaniel, but obviously he's not here anymore. So I'm really hoping Green Bay uses the fact that Ollie Gordon is the biggest running back on the roster. I mean, I expect to see a type of tandem where we saw in Green Bay with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, where they kind of had a little bit of that 1-2 punch. I mean, the 1-2 punch is coming back in the NFL now. We're seeing it with the Lions. We saw it with the Falcons. So I'm really hoping the Dolphins, look that way. But yeah, I think the A-Chain Gordon 1-2 punch would be really, really solid, but they have to commit to it. They have to. And Ollie Gordon obviously has to take care of the ball. He can't keep fumbling the ball. And I thought Gordon would get a lot of goal line. I thought so too, but Mike McDaniel is just like A-Chain. It has to be A-Chain, then it has to be dump off passes. It has to be someone that can catch the ball. Obviously, Devon A-Chain, Jalen Wright are better pass back options than Ollie Gordon. But I'm hoping again that the Green Bay team that moved over to the Miami Dolphins, they take some of what worked in Green Bay and bring it to Miami, which is that 1-2 punch that they had with Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. So I'm hoping to see a lot of improvement in the run game this season. But back to the fantasy football quarterback rankings. Obviously, you guys see my list here. You guys see Josh Allen. Why is Josh Allen number one? Why? Because he just had a kid, bro. He has dad's super strength right now. He's going to be correct this season. If you guys have the opportunity to draft Josh Allen, guys, I'm telling you right now, draft him, bro. Draft him. Draft him right now. All right, Josh Allen. Number 2, Joe Burrow. I think he's just going to have a better year. I think last year, obviously, wasn't all that great. Offensive line has still been an issue, but I do think that they did a lot of improvements on the offensive line. So I'm going to have Joe Burrow there at number 2. Number 3, I'm going to have Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is known for his mobility, his ability to run with the ball, and be a dual threat quarterback just in general. I have him at number 3. I would have had him at number 2, but he has a late bye week. So depending on how your playoff format and regular season format is, he might be missing a key playoff matchup. Just something to keep out for, because there is a team that you guys will see, which is next, the Dallas Cowboys, who have a week 14 bye. And at least for me, that is week 1 of playoffs for me, because I do 14-15 is round 1, and then week 16 and week 17 is a championship. So, again, everybody does their league different, so I'm just saying, just be cautious when you're drafting anybody from the Cowboys. And I think the Cardinals are the other team that have a week 14 bye week. So just something to keep an eye for. Keep that in mind when you're drafting come fantasy. So Dak Prescott, number 4. Number 5, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's hard to not put Patrick Mahomes in the top 5 of any category when you're ranking quarterbacks. So I had to throw him in there in the top 5. And obviously, he's getting a lot of his guys back next season. I think Travis Kelce is probably on the way out right now, so he might try one last hoorah, hoping that he has a great bounce back year. He also did just get married in the offseason, so I'm expecting that to have a little juice as well. And just Patrick Mahomes in general. I mean, he's gonna get Rashee Rice back. We should see Xavier Worthy at some point. And there was another receiver that I think the Chiefs got that had me excited for him, which is why I put him that high. Let me pull up their roster really quick. Oh, it wasn't a receiver. That's why. It was Kenneth Walker. So yeah, so they did add Kenneth Walker at the running back position. Why is that something notable? Because now Patrick Mahomes finally has a running back that he can dump passes off to, instead of having it be Isaiah Pacheco. Like, Isaiah Pacheco is a hard runner, don't get me wrong, but he is not the best pass catching back. I think Kenneth Walker is 10 times better than Isaiah Pacheco when it comes to that department. And I do think this is going to be big for Patrick Mahomes because he won't have to necessarily roll out and take the ball with him all that often. We saw him do that a couple times last year. He did obviously get hurt last year as well. So I'm hoping that having a premier running back in the backfield will help Patrick Mahomes not have to be so mobile and will help him, again, in pass protection, help him get the easy dump off points to Kenneth Walker. If you're playing in the PPR leagues, Kenneth Walker is a guy that you should have at the top of your list. But Patrick Mahomes, I think, he's just going to have a lot more weapons. He's going to have a lot more health around him this season heading into week 1. So that's why he's top 5. We don't got to worry about the Cardinals bye week for fantasy. I mean, that's true. You honestly shouldn't really be drafting anybody from Arizona aside from Trey McBride. I mean, he's the best fantasy football tight end right now, and you guys will see that in my tight end rankings a little bit later. But to finish off the list, we got Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. Again, I think he's going to have a great bounce back year. Matthew Stafford, the NFL MVP last year, I think he's going to have a great year. He still has Puka. He's going to have Devontae Adams. There's a lot of these guys that are going to be back healthy, so I do think he will have a great year. Justin Herbert, in a new system probably. Well, not an entirely new system, but he does have Mike McDaniel as his OC coming into this season. So he could be seeing a lot of different offense out of him. And if he tries to implement any type of offense that he tried to do with Tua and the Miami Dolphins, I do think Justin Herbert will have a great bounce back year. And if you're a running back, if you're looking at the running backs over there in Los Angeles, I wouldn't be too thrilled about the Amari Hampton situation going over there. From what I'm hearing and what I'm reading, Mike McDaniel wants to do kind of basically running back by committee. It can fluctuate game to game on who really gets the hot hand and stuff like that. So running backs for the Chargers, I wouldn't really necessarily look at. But if you are looking at the quarterback position, obviously Justin Herbert should be one of your top guys in that department. I forgot about Trey a little, but I'm very comfortable waiting on the tight end. I am also very comfortable waiting on the tight end this year. I think there's a lot of other positions that will help you out with those point differentials if you draft correctly. If you can draft 2 good wide receivers, you can let the tight end slip into the later rounds. But once you see that first tight end go, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. Unless, like if you see the tight end go and you still have like 5 or 6 picks before you pick again, you need to draft a tight end at that pick because there's not going to be good options by the time it comes back around again, right? But if there's a tight end that gets taken and then like you pick again, maybe like, I don't know, like 9 or like towards the end, if you're not picking like right after, there's not going to be that many good tight ends anyways. You can let a round go by without taking one. I promise there's some good backups that you can look into. But yeah. So that's going to wrap up our quarterbacks, right? And then obviously with the last one, Trevor Lawrence for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I just think overall he's probably going to be one of the better quarterbacks this year. He doesn't have Travis Achan anymore. He's not ETN, it's Achan. But I do think obviously he still has some good weapons over there. So I'm excited for that. Let's see. You're going to make me scroll. What is this one? That's my tight end one. This is my wide receiver. Let's go to the running backs. That's the one everybody wants to see right now. Our running back situation. Here we go. Our running back rankings for fantasy football. Number 1, I have Jonathan Taylor. Why do I have Jonathan Taylor? Because the guy carries the ball 20 to 30 times a game. That's a no-brainer in my opinion. If you're a PPR guy, then maybe you're looking at Jahmyr Gibbs at the 1. But I have Jahmyr Gibbs at 2. I know I said earlier he should be going number 1 overall in most fantasy drafts, and honestly he should. If you're in a PPR league, he definitely should go number 1 overall. No doubt about it. But I just think value as far as like just, the opportunity to have production, it's going to be Jonathan Taylor. He's going to get the ball 20, 30 times a game. Jahmyr Gibbs, he's probably going to see, 15 to 20 carries, but he makes a lot of... What makes Jahmyr Gibbs so good is his ability to get yards after the catch, right? So his yak is insane, yards after catch. His yak is great, which is why Jahmyr Gibbs is so important in a lot of these PPR leagues. So I'm not against you drafting him over Jonathan Taylor. But again, it really comes down to how you really want to work your draft. Because obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to go number 1. Jonathan Taylor will probably slip to like 3 or 4 on the draft boards. But honestly, it's devil's choice. Devil's choice, right? That's the saying, something like that. Like you can't go wrong with either or. I just think the fact that Jonathan Taylor gets 20 to 30 carries a game alone makes him ridiculously overpowered in fantasy football. And then obviously the other guys that I've mentioned, Christian McCaffrey, he has an injury thing going on every year, so I'm not too sold on Christian McCaffrey. I would take guys like, obviously Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor over him, depending on where you're at on your running back room, maybe Devon Achane, Bijan Robinson. But again, when he is healthy, Christian McCaffrey, again, is another guy that yak is insane. And not only does he get 15 carries a game, he also gets 9, 10 catches a game. So he's deadly for sure. And which is why I put him so high, with the wide receiver injury bug going around in San Francisco, I do think Christian McCaffrey's workload will be significantly increased to start the year, at least until George Kittle comes back around into the rotation for the 49ers. You got Devon Achane, you got Bijan Robinson, James Cook, just a couple of guys that obviously are in the top of their position. Josh Jacobs, Saquon, Derrick Henry, and Ashton Jeanty. These are just guys, that you guys, obviously all of these guys should be in the top 10. Where you rank them can fluctuate depending on what you're looking for, but I'm looking at opportunity. Who's going to have the best opportunity to have the ball in their hand? Who's going to have the most opportunities with the ball in their hand, and who's going to make the most out of those opportunities with the ball in their hand, right? And I think Bijan, Devon, Gibbs, Taylor, McCaffrey, those are guys that just have to get them if they're available. You like Kyren over Jeanty? I'm not going to lie. That was one of the guys I was debating putting into this top 10, but I do think that the Rams are going to look to decrease his workload next season. I do think that they really like Blake Corum coming along, so I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm sold on that. I don't think Kyren Williams will get the production that he would normally get. I mean, like I said, I just think there's reports every year that go against Kyren. He definitely does usually finish in the top percentage of running backs. So again, I'm not against it, but I think with Ashton Jeanty, my thing is, obviously they've rebuilt the offensive line a little bit better than they were last season, right? And then you also look at, I have to go back to my page. You also go back to that quarterback situation, right? You have Kirk Cousins. If all things fails with Kirk Cousins and Mendoza gets in the lineup and he's your starting quarterback, he will be getting a lot of the workload on the ground, because you know what happens with rookie running backs, bro. They definitely love to run the ball, man, with their running back, bro. That's just the play calling. It's the safest play call. You hand the ball off. You don't have your rookie do all that much, and I do think that's where the Raiders will end up going at some point throughout the season. No, they aren't going to score a whole lot. I don't. But again, I just think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Ashton Jeanty to be able to have, a lot of rushing yards, a lot of catches in the backfield. I just think the opportunity is there for me. Moving to the wide receiver room, we have number 1, I have Jamar Chase. I think from a fantasy perspective, he's just like a no-brainer. I mean, he's Joe Burrow and him have always been locked in. He's one of the the best deep threat in the league. I think him and Joe Burrow, I honestly I want to say Jamar Chase is one of the top wide receivers when it comes to long reception touchdowns over 30 yards. So I definitely think Jamar Chase is a number one guy. I wouldn't be surprised if people take him number one overall in some fantasy football drafts. Number two, I got JSN. Obviously, you got to throw JSN in there after the year that he had, Offensive Player of the Year. And then you got Puka. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, his production will stay the same coming into this year. I do think we'll see him obviously get 9 catches or more. You'll see him get at least 10 targets a game. A.J. Brown, I think, will have a good year with the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots as a whole will have as good as a year as they did last year, but I do think A.J. Brown being with Drake May will give the Patriots incentive to throw the ball a little bit more, and I do think A.J. Brown will take advantage of a weak division that he is in. The Miami Dolphins corners are not that good. The Jets corners are not that good. The Bills corners are not that good. So he definitely will have at least 6 games this year where he should be a top 5, top 4 wide receiver fantasy point wise, right? And then to finish it off, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Nico Collins, and Malik Neighbors. Now, I made this list prior to the Vikings announcing that they're going to be starting Kyler Murray as their QB1. I probably still wouldn't change Justin Jefferson where he's ranked right now. Maybe I'd put him over CeeDee Lamb just because I know CeeDee Lamb shares targets with George Pickens. But Dak Prescott throws the ball like 50 times a game, bro. So there's plenty of targets to go around. I'm not sold on the Vikings quarterback situation. I mean, I do think Kyler was a better quarterback, no doubt. But I drafted Justin Jefferson last year. Maybe that's what it is, and I just have draft remorse drafting him. I wish I would have gone a different direction if I knew what I know now, But yeah, Drake London, again, I think he'll have a great year no matter what quarterback is there. He's the top option in Atlanta. Nico Collins, he should have a great bounce back year after missing some time last year. CJ Stroud is basically on a prove it year for a lot of fans. So I do think that will have some effect. And then Malik Neighbors, he's coming back healthy. Jackson Dart, New York Giants, that whole system. You guys know how it goes. And yeah, that's our wide receiver rankings. And then last but not least, our tight end rankings, right? Number one, like I mentioned earlier, is Trey McBride. I think, he's a guy you have to add on your roster. If you're going to be the guy to take a tight end first, make sure it's Trey McBride, okay? Number two, I got Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers fluctuates depending on who his starting quarterback is. I'm going off the assumption that it's going to be Kirk Cousins. If you guys know Kirk Cousins, you guys know he loves his tight ends, right? When he was in Minnesota, it was TJ Hawkinson. And now I imagine he will be quarterback 1 for the Raiders. So I'm going to have Brock Bowers there at number 2. Number 3, I have Colson Loveland. He kind of had a slow start last year fantasy-wise, but he picked it up towards the end, and I think he has emerged as one of Caleb Williams' top targets in the offense. So I'm going to put him at number 3. I would have had George Kittle over him, and I would have had him at number 3 if it wasn't for his injury. All right, George Kittle is expected to miss a bit of time coming into week 1 of the NFL. So I did drop him down just a spot because I don't think his value should drop him that much because, again, there's still some decent tight ends. So you should be able to get away with drafting him as your tight end 1 and draft a backup tight end for, the first couple weeks until he comes back around. And then to finish it off, you guys have, like I said, you guys have Tyler Warren, Kyle Pitts, Harold Fandon, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, and Travis Kelce. I think if Tua is your quarterback in Atlanta, I don't think Kyle Pitts will have as good as a year. But if it's Michael Penix, I think, it's safe to say, aside from Drake London, it's basically the Kyle Pitts show. I mean, fantasy guys know how it is with Kyle Pitts. There's a lot of hype going into him every year, drafting him high, but I'm going to keep my hopes at a medium this year. I don't think he'll be that great, but I do think he'll be a top option compared to the rest of the tight ends. Harold Fannin, that quarterback situation is atrocious, but if it's Shador, obviously they've established their connection, so I have to have him there. Sam Laporta, he did have a drop-off year last year, and I think Jared Goff does have a lot more options in the offense than before when Laporta was, a top tight end option. I think with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, the emergence of him, I think there's just a lot of targets that are going elsewhere, and I don't really think Laporta will have that great of a year, but I do think his value is still there because of the red zone. He is a good red zone threat for the Detroit Lions, so that's why I have him above Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews, surprising to see him in the top 10 probably for most people, but he is a tight end one again. Isaiah Likely is no longer with the Baltimore Ravens. He is a New York Giant, and that is a guy that we will talk about in just a second. But yeah, so I think Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson will get back on the same page. Obviously, when Mark Andrews was tight end one, he was a top tight end fantasy option for most of the time. So I have to throw him in that top 10. I do have him over Travis Kelce because I do think Travis Kelce is it's just slower than before. I mean, I really am not a fan of drafting Travis Kelce this year, but if you end up drafting Mahomes, definitely take Travis Kelce at some point so you have that double point connection right there. Tucker Kraft was a guy that I keep seeing in the comments when I posted this that people are questioning why he's not on the list. I just don't think he was consistent enough to be able to put him there, right? Let's pull the stats up from last year, because I'm sure obviously he still finished as a top tight end by the end of it, but I'm just not sure if I'm completely sold on him. I mean, let's see, where is he at? Tucker Kraft. When he was playing, this is what his points look like. Oh, you guys can't even see it because I'm blocking. Damn it. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I'll try to get it up here again. Maybe that's why I also didn't really put him on there, because he is coming off an ACL injury. Is he even going to be healthy come week one? But even if he's ready for week one, a different production is possible in his first year back. Yeah. So that is exactly why I didn't rank him in my top 10, because he's coming off of ACL. He's probably still going to miss quite some time heading into next season. So yeah, that's why I dropped him off. I mean, his stats aren't that bad when he is playing, though. He does get a couple of targets. I would like to see more than 2 and 3 targets. That kind of scares me a little bit. Granted, I'll give him grace on this one because that's probably the game that he got hurt. But I don't like seeing 2 targets, 4 target. I need my tight ends to at least get 6 targets a game. I think that's a comfortable number. But I mean, he is a good red zone threat. You guys see, he caught 2, 4, 6 touchdowns in 8 games that he played, 7 games that he played. So I mean, I do think at some point he will be a premier option when he's back healthy. I'm just not sold on him right now because, again, recovering from the ACL injury, he's probably still going to miss a little bit of time, and he's definitely going to miss more time than Kittle. So that's also why he's not on the top 10. Packers did clean out their room, so there should be more targets from him. That is true. They did lose a couple wide receivers and a couple of targets just in general in this past offseason. So we could see him also, once he's healthy, we could see him get more targets. But again, it's just a lot of question marks. That's my main thing. That's why he's not in that top 10 list. But then yeah, that's pretty much it for the tight end room. I was gonna post my sleepers for fantasy football, but I didn't, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I was only gonna do 10, but I think I'm going to do 20. But I want to make sure I give a good mix of wide receiver, running backs, and tight ends and quarterbacks, because this is going to be all 4 positions that I'm going to throw sleepers in. So I want to make sure I get a good mixture in. I don't want to rank them because I think it just fluctuates on how you've drafted your roster, what you already have, what you don't have, stuff like that. So I'm not going to drop those just yet. You'll probably see those start coming out next week, because I still want to do a little bit more homework on those. Let me hear your take, bro. What's your hot take that you have for me? I'm ready. I don't have my schedule post up here. Jalen McMillan finishes as the Bucks wide receiver 1. That is a scorching hot take. That is scorching hot, my brother. Yeah, I'm not. I think you're on your own there, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think you are definitely on your own there. All right, here we go. Moving to the NBA portion of this episode, we will talk a little bit about the NBA schedule that's happened. Here are a couple of games that will be happening for the NBA, right? Opening night, we will see the Pistons play the Celtics. We will see LeBron play the New York Knicks. We will see OKC take on the Spurs. Opening night slate is pretty decent. I'm surprised that they have a 3 p.m. game during the week, but that's neither here nor there. I think they want to get a lot of the global fans involved, so I think that's why they threw them a game there. But neither here nor there again. NBA Christmas, we have Spurs at Knicks, the NBA Finals rematch. We have the Heat taking on the Celtics with a new look Heat with Giannis playing a Jaylen Brown-less Celtics. It's only Jason Tatum there now, right? And then we're going to see LeBron face his former team in LA. We'll see Shea take on the new look Timberwolves versus LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards. And then we'll see the Joker take on the greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry, for the last Christmas Day game. Now, if you guys are familiar with our episode from last week, we did predict a lot of these games happening. Granted, our guess was mainly for a opening night because we didn't know what the rest of the NBA was going to look like at that time. But now that we have a little bit more concrete rosters, here we go. I mean, these are the matchups that we predicted would happen. 2 of these happened. On just in general, obviously we're not going to see them on opening night, or actually we will be seeing them opening night. But these other ones, again, they're on Christmas. We wanted to see them opening night, but we still got 2 of the 3, which is pretty good. Which is the main 2. LeBron facing the Knicks opening night, all right, and OKC at Spurs. That was our prediction that we have here. Literally, word for word, right here. And sure enough, we got exactly that. The Sixers will play in New York, and OKC will play in San Antonio, right? And then on Christmas, we predicted these games as well. We have a finals rematch for the Spurs at the Knicks, another bar for bar that we have there. We have Minnesota at OKC, again, bar for bar right there. And we have Philly playing in LA. Again, the King returns to LA. Boom, right there, bar for bar. So we literally predicted 5 of these matchups between opening night and Christmas Day. I'm pretty ecstatic about it. I mean, I'm good with both of those slates. I would have liked to see more. I wanted to see the Heat on opening night. I would have loved to see them face the Celtics or another top team in the East. But I will live with them playing on Christmas because they finally have a Christmas game again. The Miami Heat are finally relevant again. Wolves are home on Christmas? What? No way. Are they really? Damn it! They are home on Christmas. Well, we were close. We still predicted the matchup. Whatever. We were close. We're going to pretend that we predicted that too. There's only 3 people watching. Nobody will know. When I post a clip, they won't know. They won't know. But essentially, that's what the NBA opening night Christmas Day looks like. We also did get a little bit of the NBA Cup and the NBA Cup schedule. Here is the group draw for the NBA Cup. You guys see the Heat here at East B. I mean, that's a tough group to be in. The Cavs, the defending champions, the LeBron and Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Giannis Bam Adebayo Miami Heat. And Tyrese Halliburton should be back healthy for the Pacers. So that's a tough group to be in, bro. I'm not excited for the Heat in that one. But this is what the Heat schedule will look like for that group schedule. They will play at home versus the Pacers and the Cavs, and then they will travel to play at Philly and at New York to close those games out. I believe both of these games are literally right in between Thanksgiving. So I'm expecting a lot of Heat W's to be going around when Thanksgiving is around. So I'm excited to see those matchups. And that's pretty much it for the NBA. I mean, I was really just wanted to touch on that. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on that really honestly happened not that long ago. It happened earlier today. Some breaking news. We will see Russell Westbrook officially join retirement. He has announced via his social media accounts that he will be retiring. Mr. Triple Double, the former MVP, a hell of a career, 18 seasons in the NBA, OKC, Sacramento, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Rockets. I mean, it was great. The Wizards. I mean, it was great watching Russell Westbrook play the game of basketball. I wish him the greatest retirement. He will no doubt be in the Hall of Fame once he becomes eligible. I'm shocked that no NBA team decided to roll the dice on him for one last ride. I would have loved the Heat to be able to sign him. I think he's a great facilitator, just in general, off the bench. I mean, but again, he is past his prime. We did have some great Russell Westbrook moments, but it's just insane to see. And I agree, yeah, him retiring and still seeing LeBron play at the age of 41, 42, however old he is insane to put in perspective. I mean, LeBron's still playing at a premier level. He's not obviously a top 5 player in the NBA, top 10 player in the NBA, but he's still a top player in the NBA, no doubt. As you guys saw with his free agency frenzy, there was 20 plus teams lined up out the door to sign him. So just a little bit to touch on there. And then moving to the WNBA portion of this segment. We're going to keep it brief just because, again, I would think we're running a little bit past our time that we would like. We have the Lynx, the Valkyries, and the Aces at our top 3 spots. We have the Fever, who have managed to sneak into the top 5. We have the Dream sitting at number 5. We have the Mystics, who brought their way out of the playoff, non-playoff purgatory. All right, they are currently on, or they were on, before last night, they were on a 7-game win streak, and then they lost to the Aces yesterday. But they are killing it right now. They are in playoff contention as it stands. A lot of these standings are still within 2.5 games. So these, 4 through 8 can still very much fluctuate before the end of the season is over. But the Fever did have a great game versus the New York Liberty also last night. They pretty much ran away with that game. They took the lead early on, and they really never looked back. But yeah, the Lynx have been killing it, and they've been killing it for most of the year. Mostly they didn't have their best player, which is Nafisha Collier, and they didn't have her, but their rookie, Olivia, right? That's her name. I don't know her last name. I forgot. I'm gonna know her last name when I see it, and I'm gonna be like, bro, fudge. Olivia Miles. Damn it! I knew it. So Olivia Miles, bro, obviously their top pick in this past draft, has been killing it for the Minnesota Lynx, bringing them to a number 1 seed as it stands in the WNBA. The second thing that I wanted to mention as far as the WNBA goes, I mean, I know that they did announce the newest team that will be joining the WNBA come 2028, which is the Cleveland Sirens. They did announce that they will be joining the WNBA as the, I think, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As the 16th team in the WNBA, bringing both conferences to a total of 8 teams. We will see them join by 2028. And then the league will eventually expand to 18 teams come 2030 when they add Detroit and Philadelphia. The names of those teams still TBD, but we will be seeing an expansion very, very soon with the Cleveland Sirens. So we should be expecting another expansion draft. And then by 2030, another expansion draft should be looking their way. And to close our episode off, we're going to go move into the collegiate side of things with Sports with Seb. As you guys know, I do cover FIU and sports. Currently, right now, as it stands, we do have, like I said, some FIU soccer happening now. We got the women's soccer team will be facing off against FAU today. They were supposed to start at 7 p.m., but there was a lightning delay or a thunder delay or rain delay or whatever the case was, so they did push it to 8 o'clock from the last notification that I saw. But they will be kicking off their field versus FAU this year, so I'm excited to see them play. I'm excited to go to their games this season. I will be writing previews and post-game matchup articles for them this season, so make sure you guys are staying in tune with Lemon City Live, with Pause Up. Make sure you guys are giving them a follow on socials. That's where I upload, my articles, my content, my videos and stuff. I work with them, so make sure you guys go check out their stuff. They're playing today at 8 o'clock, and then they will be playing their first home game versus FSU. They will be playing here at Florida International University come August 16th for the home opener at 6 p.m. And it looks like I just got a notification now from women's soccer that they will be kicking off very soon. So it looks like the 8 p.m. time is confirmed. So make sure you guys go check that out on ESPN+. I'm going to try and tune in right after we finish recording here. But with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's Sports with Seb episode. You guys got a little bit of a longer episode. We went a little bit over, but that's okay. If anybody has any questions, you guys know how to reach me, Sports with Seb, on all socials. Feel free to DM me your fantasy football questions. Feel free to tweet me with all your fantasy football questions, and I will definitely get to you and get you squared away. AU Gold, I appreciate you, my boy, for joining in. It's Jen, I appreciate you for joining in. Xavier, I know you were in at some point. I appreciate you guys for joining in and chilling with the boy, Sports with Seb. And with that being said, we will catch you guys in the next one.